What if the version of life where you feel burned out, stretched thin, and never quite enough isn't the only option? That's where Tanya was, overwhelmed, stressed, running on empty, convinced that she was failing everyone all of the time. And then one thought kept coming back to her. There's got to be another way. This can't be it. There has to be more than this. And so she found Ambitious and Balanced and found that other way. In today's episode, she's sharing exactly what that other way looked like to her, the specific exercises, the real shift, the things that actually worked. Because on the other side of that search, Tanya found more control of her time, more control of her energy, her presence, clarity of thought, time actually for herself. She really, truly found another way. And by the end of this episode, you're going to want to find it too. Are you ready? Let's get to it. Working moms, excited that you are with us today. I have a very special guest. I'm going to let her introduce herself here in a moment, but Tanya comes from my Ambitious and Balanced program. She just graduated from the most recent cohort, and I asked her to come on and share her experience and the transformation that she had during this program, and to just give it to us real, like tell us really what it's like and what she learned. And so I'm just so excited that she's here. Thank you for being here, Tanya.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. This is going to be a great conversation. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Yeah. So I have been working in Silicon Valley for the past 20 years. Currently, I'm a business leader that helps other companies transform their business with AI in novel ways. I also work with museums and educational institutions to incorporate new tech, not just AI, but also VR. Been working really a lot in tech for startups and for big tech for many, many years, and now using that to help others improve and innovate their current companies.
I don't know if I knew all of that. I didn't know you were working with museums and things like that. That's cool.
Yeah. It's been really great. A lot of the things that I do has been not so much in software development, but also like making sure that the changes that we do with this software gets percolated through the rest of the organization. And it's very applicable to AI because people are using AI. And so you need to have the right system and organization in place to actually make those changes possible. So
good.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay. And you have one kiddo.
I have two kids. I have a 6-year-old. Yep. I have a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old. I have an older boy and a younger girl.
That's right. I love that. Okay. So one of the things that you said that really like perked my ears is working in a startup culture. I feel like people, I mean, if whether or not you've worked in a startup culture or not, there's certainly an idea that it is a 100-hour work week kind of environment. It is a really, really like a work heavy, workaholic type of environment. Was that your experience?
Yes. And I think that's one of the reasons that your program was so transformative was because the Silicon Valley startup grind, like being that mercenary to work, had been my de facto way of being for so long that it was really refreshing, and it was so helpful to go through your program to actually realize that a lot of this way of working and doing things just didn't resonate anymore. And so you kind of just pulled the cover over my eyes, and I was like, oh my gosh, there's another way to be balanced. There is another way to be ambitious. It doesn't require this obsessive grind all the time.
I love that. So what did you learn about that?
I think, to give you a little bit background about what I had experienced and what I had gone through. I mean, I was used to those 100-hour work weeks. I was used to making work a priority above friends and family. I was used to, you have this high agency and you have this vision of like this, what you could be and this perfect person and how this relates to like, not just, money, but also like success. There's so much external validation to that. That was just the way that I saw it. Like you have to consistently work. I had this really high, I was very, very much a perfectionist. And so, I think when I came to see you, I was just like riding this wave of always needing to work. Or in order for me to feel good, I have to put in not just the work, but I have to do an amazing job at everything and do all the things correctly. And what you had was someone who was just like burnt out, who was a perfectionist, and who also was really, really, really good at bringing herself down when she didn't meet that like exceptionally high bar. And I had all of those. I was just like, I am not worthy. I am not valuable unless I get all of my to-dos done and I do them exceptionally well and I make no mistakes. And if I do happen to not get those things done, and if I do happen to be just like far behind, or I didn't accomplish it to the degree of perfection that I meant it to be, then I was not worthy. I was not valuable. Something is wrong with me. And so that's kind of my way of thinking, that I hadn't realized, like, whoa, how wrong, how awful this was to live. This is
Yeah.
such a terrible way to
Were you
live.
tuned into that like script in your head much?
I don't think that I realized it until we started the program, how much of that was just like part of my DNA almost, like
Mm.
how I think one
It's
of the
like you just
things.
woke up and thought those thoughts. It
Yeah.
just was like, yep,
Mm-hmm.
kind of already woke up with the deficit.
Yeah, like I like it's really punishing to you start your day and you're already behind. Like you start your day and you already feel like, well, I'm already behind from these things. And then there's the part about motherhood. Like the part about motherhood that I think you have nailed and really talk so well about is like, so not only are you trying, as this person before your program who was super like burnt out perfectionist, but you're also like trying to be a good mother. and then like, and then you try to put those two things together where you're like, I'm already feeling behind. I'm already feeling like I'm also not doing a good job as a mom because I'm trying to focus on being perfect and doing all these things great. It just makes you feel even more into a spiral, in a negative spiral. And you just start off your day feeling really like, oh, I'm not going anywhere. I'm just not worthy. That's kind of what's going through your head.
I mean, I think it's so common. I think it's really common for high achievers, right? And ambitious people. It's why, this podcast is named what it is. This is about ambitious people finding balance. It's so much of what, the people that are drawn to me would self-identify in that way on some level. I'm that way, right? It's about, I mean, and you said it in the beginning, and I'm looking forward to hearing how you're going to reframe this, but like finding another way to remain ambitious and to remain, achievement focused, and to feel balanced, and to feel like a good mom, and to feel like you have a life outside of work, and you feel good about yourself, right? Like we really aren't about changing the achieving self and the ambitious self. It's what makes you you. It's really special to you, but there is another way. You don't have to wake up and feel behind every single day. You don't have to wake up and feel overwhelmed and terrible about yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I think you said that really well. I feel like having gone through your program and realizing like what was happening with like as soon as I wake up, or even the night before I go to sleep and I'm feeling awful, and then I wake up and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so behind. I'm just not. I'm like I don't feel good. I don't feel worthy. I'm not valuable. Like all of these things, and then you have to like deal with your kids are they're young. They might not be the easiest to get out the door, in the morning scramble. And so all of these things add up, and you're just like frustrated and stressed, and you take it out on them. And I didn't even realize it was that all of this kind of mindset that was affecting me, and that was also creating this kind of strained and hectic and frantic mom experience at home. And so I was really excited to go through your program and learn this other way of like wanting. I knew I had to change. I knew that I wanted to feel good. I knew that I wanted to get out of this all of this noise about gotta 100-hour work weeks and obsess over work. And it's like, but that just doesn't resonate with me. I want another. I really am looking forward to exploring new ways of thinking about this, and feeling balanced.
So before we even get into hearing about what you've learned about this like other way, I would love to hear, did you try some things prior to deciding to join? Like what'd you do to try to figure this out even on your own? I mean, your kids are 6 and 8, so clearly you've been working at this for a while, right?
For a while, yeah. So I actually, my last corporate, was working for a big tech company, and was kind of a zombie. I was, I had was responsible for a lot of things. I had teams in different time zones. That company was my priority, not friends or family, and it really just was very taxing for me after about a year and a half. And then, as happens in the tech industry, I was the recipient of a layoff. The moment I got the news, my body felt so much relief. It was like, this is great. But my mind was still in that burned out perfectionist mode. It took me about 3 to 6 months. I even had this thing called slack hands, which I've actually seen other people have.
What's
where
that?
So even like, well, at least 3 to 6 months after I had laid off, I was just so used to grabbing my phone and checking Slack. And I was no longer connected to Slack. And I would do this at night. Because people would have like messaging me all the time, and I would just be like, and I would just keep doing that. And it's funny because I went to lunch with someone, and they recently, and they just did the same thing. They're like, they had this like Slack hands. I had phantom Slack hands. That's how bad it was. Where I was like, I need to be always on. I need to be always responding, and it would continue at night. And so it was like my body was feeling this relief. My mind was still not. My mindset was still in this like gotta do it all, gotta succeed in everything, gotta be perfect. And so I had set out to like take some time and explore and look at, not go back into corporate, but explore other ideas, potentially do a startup. And I was just kind of figuring out my next step. And I decided to do my own business that is in doing novel AI applications and systems and helping others with AI. So that's what I landed in. But when I came to you, I was just like spiraling because I was both very anxious and afraid of like, oh no, I don't want to get back into the way I was. I have a little bit more freedom and flexibility. I do want to grow, but I'm feeling so much fear and anxiety about working on my business because I don't want to get back into how I was before. And so I think I was trying in my own way to explore possibilities and talking to people, and just, the act of exploration was there, but I hadn't realized until I talked to you and gone through your program how much of the mindset changed really mattered, how much that like was really affecting my approach to
Yeah.
what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so,
Now we're starting
yeah.
to talk about the other way, right? So tell us in your own words, when you think about what the other way is, what is it?
So I think it's a feeling. It's definitely confidence. It's a feeling of clarity. And it's feeling really good about these are the things that I'm going to be doing. It's a feeling of both productivity and also presence, and no longer feeling that overwhelm of like, I didn't do enough, or I didn't get that thing done on my to-do list, or like the racing overwhelm of your mind. It's more like, no, I actually know, like, today, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to prioritize the people in my life. And this is what I'm choosing not to do. And guess what? I feel good about it. This is going to make me feel really good today. So you're no longer battling all of these like doubts and demons and insecurities about, oh gosh, I should have done, or even feeling shame with your, like, I wasn't there for my kids, or I needed to prioritize this thing. It's almost like you're in flow. I feel very much in flow with the decisions that I make and how I'm spending time with my family, and also on my projects and the business that I have.
And so what did you learn about how do you get into that flow?
So that's a really great question. I learned a lot. I had never, thanks to the program that you provided, I had never realized like this inner voice was so critical. I had never realized I had such a negative and punishing inner voice. I had never realized that my work was such a source of identity, like my work equaled identity for me. And I was like, oh my goodness, what? Wow. And that it's okay. Like the idea that if I don't do this thing on my to-do list, I am still worthy. That sounds like, that sounds like,
Sounds obvious or simple
sounds
to
obvious.
think.
Yeah.
Right.
And I was like, what? But I'm perfect and I need to do everything and I need to do it like at 150%.
I
Like,
mean, we get to the end of our day, and if you had intended to get a bunch of things done that you didn't get done, I mean, really, the reality is most of us sit there and feel a sense of failure, right? We feel a sense of like, man, why wasn't I so productive today? I like to call it our whip, right? Like the whip that's like, come on, Rebecca. Like, what were you doing today? And then you start thinking about all the things that you did that were like sort of a waste of time or like you should have chosen otherwise, right? And you just kind of berate yourself with it. So, although it does sound like, of course, you shouldn't kick yourself for not getting things done, really for like high achievers and ambitious people, that's how we tend to treat ourselves at the end of the day, you know?
yeah, totally. It really, like what you're saying, berating yourself is a perfect example of what was happening. And like the idea that you are still a valuable, worthy person. And if you don't do that thing on the list and you do it tomorrow, like great, like give yourself some room to do that. It's like a it's like a light bulb, like wow. And I remember during that when we're learning about how to get where do you feel that? How do you create that identity? Like you mentioned an example, like when a baby is born, you love this baby. They are just born. And that's like how you should think of yourself. And I was like, oh my God, yes,
I'm just lovable because I am,
I
not because
am
I do
lovable.
anything.
Yeah, not because like I did all these things and I achieved all these things and I have made, if I've made this much money or it was a really wonderful way of I think contrasting, especially, someone who's been in Silicon Valley working in startups and every other news article you get is like this startup raised $20 million, right? Like it really contrasts a lot of the external validation noise that I think I see for you to show us like no, you are valuable, just being, you are valuable.
So it
Yeah.
sounds like there was some really like almost core stories that we shifted for you in this program. And that is certainly sort of like a module, if you will, where we sort of dig into some of those old stories that we tell ourselves that we believe that we don't even usually realize or consciously realize we're telling ourselves that really get in the way of us experiencing balance. And so that sounds like that was sort of a big one for you. But then there's still some like, it's not just usually a one and done deal. Like there's some active nature to sticking with that mindset. What did you find was most useful for you?
So there were a few things in the program that really, really helped me. I had never realized the idea that I could control my own time. I know that sounds obvious, but I'm basically operating from like, these are all like tips for me to like get success. I have to do all these things and people are coming at me all the time and I have to respond always and always be available and give it my all. It's like I had no concept of like, oh, I can control my time and my energy on the things that I want to. I can rethink some of these things to mold them the way that I want to. We learned about categories of the time that you have. You have your me time, which is like a concept in itself. Like, what is me time? Like,
Yeah. It's not getting your nails done. It's
it's like,
not a
yeah,
massage. Those are great things and you should do those
yeah.
things, but that's not what we're
Uh-huh.
talking about here.
Yeah, and I remember being like, well, like I scheduled like me time I scheduled for an hour and I'm just like reading the news and going on my phone. And I remember it was also a light bulb moment where you're like, is that actually like reading the news? Does that make you feel good? And I'm like, no, it's actually kind of depressing. And you were like, this should be soul filling. This should be soul
Right.
filling. I was
And
like,
we're not calling it me time.
like it took
Yeah.
a couple tries just of trying this out for me to understand like what
Mm.
what that was, and then like what it means to have like kid focused time and what it means to have uninterrupted work time and what it means to have working hours. Like I had never thought of those four categories and that I could actually move them around or change them around or rethink them or reframe them, or like that was in itself a really key learning moment for me. And I remember like one example of this is how much I hated mornings. Not so much because, we talked about like I felt behind. Worked on that, but also like just like the mad rush between like the breakfast and the making the lunches and the drop off, and like it's just like I hate these frantic mornings. And I remember making it a point to be like, no, like what would like an what would an ideal weekday morning look like? What would that look like? And what if this was like your restart morning, your energizing morning, right? Like I just like called it something else. And what if this were to give you energy and make you feel good? What if this was even soul fulfilling? And I was like, interesting. Let's riff with that. And so I think because that like flip switched around being able to control this and making it mine, I still wake up at the same time, but I focus on like, all right, for me to have this like really wonderful morning, I'm going to use this time to like, we're going to, make a slow breakfast, make myself a ritual of chai. I'll wake up the kids a little bit earlier. We'll all be together. We're going to get dressed at this time. Like, and it's now becoming like almost a wonderful ritual for my family every morning to like go through this and
Oh, I love it.
like yelling or well, there's
Come on, they're 6 and 8. Let's be.
yeah. There's some moments where the yelling does happen, but they're much rarer now. And I think I just learned so much about the ability to make, these things that you dread or that don't want to, they just give you negativity. Like you can control it, you can make it yours. What does it take to visualize and change it and flip it around and make it something wonderful versus like, okay, I got to do everything like super fast and I got to get this workout in and like just, okay, take a moment, breathe, relax, rethink it. And so that was a really, really important lesson for me around the ability. I don't need more time. That was something very important that I took. I don't need more time.
But we do need to like shift the way we're thinking about our time and how we use it. And I mean, I don't think I knew anything about this kind of morning ritual routine thing that you're talking about. I don't know if you've ever shared that with me, but what I'm hearing in a lot of that, if I were to kind of dissect it in terms of like, what's the other way, it starts with like pulling back for a moment and kind of evaluating, not in the muck of it, right? But like from an outside perspective and looking in and kind of going, what's working here and what's not working here? And what if I just believed that this could be different? What if I just decided to believe a different story? And in this case, you're saying you just started believing that your mornings could be different. what if what if I didn't have to get through my morning and feel like exhausted, but it could actually be a life-giving experience with my family? What if? It's like, oh, if that was possible, what would I do, or what would I try? That's a lot of what there's no cookie cutter way for anyone. It's a lot of creating some space to like problem solve and think through and build a set of like thinkings and beliefs and stories that really serve you. And then, giving you the tools to actually execute on that. And a lot of that you kind of did for yourself through this process. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. And I think too, because like, I had this very rigid way of being like, I need to get my workout in at this, like right before, and I need to do like these 10 emails and I need to do these things. And I was like, but do you like when you rethink your time and how you structure it, you can like actually like if I prioritize that connection with my family in the mornings, I feel really good. And I'm okay with like, I'm going to leave my emails to be after drop off. And then I can figure out my workout at some other period. Like it just kind of broke a lot of that mold that I had and that rigidity around to succeed. I must have done like 100 different things by like 7 a.m. to be super, overly productive. And I still feel very productive. It's just, I have a way that energizes me better through the day and gives me that flow and focus and connection with my kids too and my family.
And you brought up the word success or succeeding, and I'm glad you did, because we do spend time in this program like actually putting some words to that, right? To kind of recognizing, how am I defining success today, and or like what do I believe my mechanism of success is, and thinking through that, meaning like in order for me to be successful, I have to check all my lists, check everything off of my list, or I need X amount of time, or I have to get a workout in at this time, and like this is what makes me successful. It's very rigid versus, what one of the things that we all do in this program is spend some time really thinking, does that version of success serve you? Is that really true? Like, what do you really believe about success? Like at the end of your life, if you looked back, what would you say is successful, right? And spending some time putting some language to that, because I think a lot of us live by a lot of like cultural definitions of success, or are familial, like our family and what we learned in terms of like a generational pattern, or just, pre-kids version of success. And so it's a time for us to recalibrate to life today.
I totally agree with you because I think with that I remember that exercise around success. I think my definition of success was like that 19-year-old startup founder with no children that just had the entire day to just like grind. and and so like that's kind of the operating framework that I was in. And then when we did this exercise, I realized like no, success for me is like connecting like with my family. Like success for me is it's like being really aware that I have been a zombie before with my kids. I know what that's like. That did not feel good for me and for anyone. I just want to feel this connection. I want to optimize for that, I guess, balance and presence. And yes, I do want to like I do have this ambition and I do have this work desire, like this focus, but I want it to be in a way where I still have that moment and presence with my kids. And I also have like, I'm able to get that work mode going as well. But it's not all consuming. It's not all consuming. And so that really helped me. Like my like success isn't at the end of the day, like what's going to happen if whether or not my business or startups like succeeds or fails, like the thing that's going to be left are my kids and their memories with me. And so I really just focused on visualizing like being present and making that a priority, in addition to like I have these chunks of time during my day where I'm focused on my ambitions. And your program helped me realize like it's okay to not be that 19-year-old startup founder. It's okay. Like you can create your own definition of success and still be balanced and still be ambitious, which is like a very big, it's a big
Yeah, it's a
change.
huge
Like
shift.
it's a huge
Yeah.
shift. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
the other
Yep.
way.
It's the other way.
It's the
Exactly.
other way. And so I've heard you talk a lot about like shifting mindset and stories and narratives that you're telling yourself. I've heard you talk a bit about, shifting your definition of success, or maybe going through a process of sort of redefining it. I've heard you talk a bit about identity and kind of reconnecting into who you are outside of maybe achievement, and reconnecting with that person again. What do you feel like, if you think about some of the practical tools that you learned, which were some of the ones that you really gravitated to, or are continuing to use today?
There's several. Every day I do the daily kickstart, which is where I write down the set of beliefs, primarily the belief that I want to take with me throughout the day. And I have my notebook and I have my pen. And it's funny because I work in AI. I have my super duper machine with like 20 to 30 different of the latest like AI tools and all the frontier models and my own like local model, etc. All these things. But I think the most important thing on my desk is actually this journal with my pen and paper where I'm setting myself up to feel good throughout the day, to feel confident throughout the day. And some of the beliefs can be like, I'm exactly where I need to be, or I believe I'm in the right place, and I believe that I'm a good mom. Like those things that, there might be some swirliness in my head that I might take on through the day, some thoughts that might affect how I work throughout the day. But for me, it's really important to have that moment to go through writing down my belief, my main belief, like why it's important. If a roadblock occurs, how am I going to like deal with it? How do I make sure that that belief is true? And I can pull up examples of where some things happen, like, whether others have noticed something wonderful about me or I felt really good about doing something. And I think that's what gives me like the confidence, gives me, it makes me feel good. I have clarity. I know like I'm in the right place. And so, whatever I'm doing throughout the day, it just helps me feel more in flow.
Oh, so good. And just so everybody hears this, like literally, she's talking about. I'm showing you a notebook if you're not watching right now, or like a notepad. Like I literally give tools like this
I
to
have
my
this here.
clients. She's got hers right
Yeah.
there.
I have,
But
yeah.
this is free to you. I actually have
Mhm.
this. I give this tool away. So if you went to my website, it would be like a pop up that would come up, or it's at the bottom of my homepage. But you could literally go to RebeccaOlsonCoaching.com and find the daily kickstart. She's talking about like the number one tool she just mentioned is available to you because I want people to feel transformation from this. It's amazing what happens when we think on purpose. Just like decide to direct our brain in the way that we want it to go. I mean, it's remarkable what happens. And I know you experienced a lot of that transformation yourself as you learned I mean, this tool, but a variety of tools to do that.
Hmm. Yeah, and even just the act of like I never journaled before, and just the act of writing things down, there's something really special that happens, especially for someone who's on her machine for a lot of these AI tools. There's something really special about putting pen to paper. And I've also, it's something I've learned through your program too, is just whenever journaling, if I have a lot of many different like confusion, spirally thoughts, it's helped me a lot to write those down, which is related to the other tool that I use frequently called the pivot protocol, which happens when you are kind of, you're having these conflicting situations. You might have, I'll give you an example. Like I was not able to attend my kids' field trip as a volunteer, and I had a work thing, and so I felt so much guilt that I couldn't attend this field trip, and I had this work thing, and so I was able to use the pivot protocol to address that guilt, empathize with myself. Yes, of course, like this is something that anyone, a mother would definitely feel this like tug and pull. And then like just to give yourself clarity around like, okay, now that you felt it, you understand it, you got through it, what are some of the things that you can do like to address that, to feel good with this decision? And so my even though I wasn't able to go on the field trip, I was able to connect with my son later about it. I was able to like, we just had our own moment, right? I was like, I just made very clear, like, he's going to have a good time. He's going to be okay without his mom. He's going to be learning some independence. and then later on we can connect and he can tell me all about his day, and like it will be okay. And so it really helped to kind of like jot down and go through those moments and give myself a little grace, because the old me would have been like, oh my God, bad mom, bad mom, bad mom. Like,
Mm, yeah.
but the
Yeah.
pivot protocol tool that we used really helps in those situations where you have conflicting, swirling emotions, and you're like, okay, how do I get through this?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And shift it in the moment, right? I mean, I like to like to remind people that we are humans and that there's just never going to be a scenario in our life where we live in this magical zen state where we are not overwhelmed or we are not triggered by our kids or other people, or where we're never feeling behind. Or I mean, there's just we're living ambitious lives and we've got a lot of roles and we've got a lot of good priorities that we want to uphold. And it's just this is the way. So then having tools that help us sort of make sure we stay on track when we sort of get off and we sort of spiral a little bit, or we kind of go down a negative rabbit trail in a way that we don't want to, or we start feeling guilty about something, or like there's a way to not that you can literally pivot yourself out of that experience and into a much more intentional space. It's like half of the work. It's like trying to lessen some of that conflict and that overwhelm and that behindness and those feelings and thoughts. And then it's also learning the tools to get yourself out of it whenever you get into it. Right.
Totally. Yeah. I didn't know that this was something you could do.
Yeah.
Like I was like, oh,
Yeah.
this is a really
I mean, I
helpful
don't have to
way.
just keep thinking terrible thoughts about myself
Yeah,
and I'm a
exactly.
terrible mom over and over and over.
Yeah. Exactly.
I don't, and
Uh-huh.
I push back all the time with people that were like, well, it just, just the mom guilt is just a thing. It's like, is it like, really? Do you have to feel that way? Does life as a working mom have to feel hard? I don't know. These seem to be just narratives that we tell ourselves. And I think there's another way.
Yeah, and to your point about the mom guilt, like it's of course there's so much I you know I've felt so much and mom guilt because you choose like what do you choose? How do you your kid it's there's so much and so I feel like I've been able to really speak to those like what are those situations where that mom guilt is happening and why? And like to sit with it and then think through more intentionally about like okay, but like does that really make sense? Like it's great that your kids are in after school. They're learning that like they really love it, you know. They and so it's helped me to sort of anytime I feel that I've been able to really think through it intentionally versus like it just is a feeling that accumulates. And so that's why like I think it's a way of really addressing those feelings and not shoving them under the rug, but being like, okay, yeah, that makes sense why you would feel this, but let's explore it. And let's go deeper into it. And
Let's
is it
question it. Is it really
to question
true?
it?
Like,
Is it
do you
true?
need to
Yeah.
feel that way?
Is
Yeah.
yeah. Do you need to
Yeah.
feel that way? Is this valid? Is this like, you know, can you come up with like in the kids my kids are in after school and you know, I can actually come up with like 10 different reasons why they really like their after school and why it's great for, you know, that they're for me that gives me that sort of balance to focus on the work that I do. And so and that's like an example of how that mom guilt flares up in the pivot protocol has helped me in those situations understand like is how to deal with it, how to address it. And yes, in this case, like let the mom guilt go. It's okay. They are good.
They
Yeah.
are good. They are good. I mean, there's a lot of shifting that has taken place for you, Tanya. So much shifting. And this program's only 3 months. Are you surprised at how much change happened for you in that short amount of time?
Yeah. I was, you know, my
I
like
think people sometimes are skeptical when I tell them like, no, literally 3 months, we're going to change everything. They're like, really? I don't know.
I think for you know, it's like it was incredibly refreshing, re-energizing. Like my mom will be like, "You look great." And my sister visited me the other day. She's like, "It's you feel so much lighter." And it really I can't believe it was only 3 months. Wow. But it's wonderful when someone like your program gave me the tools to rethink the biggest like the negative inner voice that I had, rethink how I was thinking about time, rethink all of these feelings about guilt and shame. Like that was when you have those tools and you have a way to think through them, it's really empowering. It's really empowering. And I really like that a lot of the exercises we could do like we meet once a week and then we could do these during the week we had the time like at our own leisure or to do this and so I think it was both the guidance that you gave us but also the exercises that we could do and having to do them you know like I was committed to working on the different tools that you gave us. I think that also was like I really want to change. I really want to change too but yeah 3 months I can't believe it.
Yeah. 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 You have to really want it, obviously, because we're talking about habit change and behavior change and priority change and how you're thinking about time change. I mean, this does take some commitment, but it doesn't have to take a bunch of time in order to do it. Was the amount of like, we'll call it work that went into this? What was your thought on that? Was it too much? Was it just enough? Did it take a ton of your time?
So I felt it was very, very, very manageable. Again, as someone like we're busy moms with jobs, right? And I really like that, you know, we kind of learn upfront all of these different tools, but then during the program, as after we learn about them, that we have to like put them into practice. And we can talk about that during the time in the program too. So we can share stories if we're comfortable and learn from others. So I thought that was like a really great way to do it and I like learning. I like the ability to like, okay, I've scheduled like Sunday morning. I'm gonna take some time to like go through the workbook and go through like it was more so it was the first time I've ever spent time like self-discovery and awareness. So it was more so like that, like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that these are the things that I would like. These are the things that I feel like I would love my identity to be associated with this, or I would love like success to mean this, or I would like to rethink my time this way. It didn't feel like work. It was more like, how do we like creative playground to rethink and your views and also how you think about going through your day with family. That's how it felt like. Someone shows you, like, I spend a lot of time with AI tools. Someone shows you like this really cool like set of AI tools and a playground, and you're like, cool. Okay, how can I like apply this and modify this and do this? That's what it felt like a creative
Oh, I
playground.
love that idea. I love that idea. Yeah, because I mean, I've even had a couple of conversations recently with a couple of moms that might join my next program, which starts in the middle of July. And this is always something that comes up. It's like I don't know if I have time is one, or it gets framed as like I want to make sure that I have enough space to devote to this. It's kind of the same thing, but from the other side, it actually sounds better that direction, you know? And I don't know, what would you say to a mom that was kind of having that sort of mentality before joining the program?
Yeah, I can totally see like you want to dedicate time, space, like mental energy to it when you're already feeling overwhelmed,
Feeling
right?
spread thin, yeah.
Yeah. And I kind of find a lot of joy in the process. It's not a chore. It's like you're learning a fun new way of being. You're learning a fun new way of making the most out of your day. So to me, like I associate almost like joy and moments of fun and moments of like, you're tinkering and putting together what would be this amazing like vision for you and for your life. That's how it feels, like a creative space and a creative playground that's fun and full of joy. Like,
So it's less that we need to find additional time to do the work, and it's more of like we're actually shifting the way you live your current life. So it's like a different integration of thinking and tools and things like that. Of course, there's going to need to be a little bit of space to do some of that, but that I think we have the wrong. I like that frame. It's a different way of framing it. It's not go learn this thing that you need a bunch of time for and then come and you need to find a bunch more time in your life in order to incorporate it. It's actually you're going to live the same life and feel completely differently about it as you implement the change that we're talking about.
yeah, exactly. Yep, I totally agree with that. I really hope my wish, as I spend like a lot more, time with all these AI tools, I really hope like there's like this, I see this vision of like future families and moms in particular. And yes, I think like AI education is important, but I pair that with like your program, because not only are they have like a way to live life that is balanced and ambitious and present, and they're productive, but they're also like they apply that and they're able to get work done like where they need to with AI. I feel like the world needs both, like
They
both.
totally need both. Yeah, I'm in the
Yeah,
same boat.
to
Yeah.
like the you have the right mindset, and then you have the right like tools, and so then you'll have these incredibly like productive, happy families. That's how I see it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think we can get in a trap thinking that AI tools is going to solve the problem, because then we think that the problem is like time management and productivity management and things like that. It's not. It is a part of. It's a piece of it. I'm not saying it's not a piece of it, but it's not the major piece of it. And I think that's what you sort of learned in this is like so much of this is actually internally driven, that if we don't change that internal drive and the way you're thinking and the narratives and all those things, then it doesn't matter what tools you have. At the end of the day, you're still not going to feel the way you want to feel.
Totally. Yeah. Cause, like the AI agent's up at 3 a.m, like it's going to keep pinging you. And if you think success is like getting work done, then you're just going to set yourself up for burnout, because then you're just adding,
Preach it, girl.
well, yeah, like more work to begets more work to begets more work. Where I feel someone who's learned to be like ambitious and balanced, they're like, great, I'm going to like my weekend is for friends, for family, for being with my kids. I'm going to kick off this job. I'll come back to it on Monday. And like, I've set it all up. I've set it up so it does my revenue analysis over the weekend. And then like I'm gonna then go back and check on it on Monday. And like that's a cadence I think we should be living in, where we're optimizing for that like connection with people, and also our own sanity, our own health, mental health, that balance, and we're putting that in practice with the like AI tools or other types of systems to make that life possible, that balanced life possible.
So good. So good. I love it. Tanya, thank you so much for coming on and sharing the other way. I love that. I love that. You know, I talk about this stuff all the time, right? So it's so helpful to hear from other people the way they describe it, and your ultimately your experience in the program. So I think it's just really highly valuable. Is there anything else that you feel like you want to share with the listener out there? We are right in the middle of building that next cohort. Again, it starts in the middle of July. There's already a handful of spots taken. So I am taking about 6 or 7 more into that program right now. And so what are your thoughts what would you share to those 6 or 7 that are maybe on the fence and thinking about it?
I hope that you will like take the leap. I think when I found you, Rebecca, I was like in this overwhelmed spiral, and then I managed to, I think through a Google search, my Google search included rambly things like I want to feel balanced, and I'm ambitious, but like I don't know what I'm doing. I'm so overwhelmed. And like you literally came up as one of the top search results, and I clicked on your website, and I immediately booked like some time with you to learn more. And then after a conversation, I was like, oh my gosh, you totally get it. Like you totally get me. You know what it's like to be a mom. I look up to you. You have this like incredible, you're helping others to go through this very difficult moment of being a mom and also being ambitious. And I was really glad that I did the program because I feel very empowered. So I hope that, if you want the same for you, I hope that you will also give an understanding of all the things that are happening in people's lives. But I really think you will not regret it, and you will find that there is another way to live. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I love that. Thank you so much. And there is, the next step, if you want to just explore this, is actually to book a mental load reset call with me. So these are like really easy ways to get to know me and the coaching and the tools. Like we dig right into what's going on in your life right now. We'll talk about what you want life to look like and what the path is there, right? We connect all of those dots. And so there is a link in the show notes for you to book that 30-minute call with me to get a sense and a flavor of coaching before you even make a decision on if you want to move forward with this program. So that is what I would encourage you to do right now. If you are thinking about wanting to join the next cohort and you're feeling inspired by Tanya, thank you again so much. And working moms, until next week, let's get to it.
Thank you.
One sec before you go. I want you to know that every woman who has ever transformed their life inside one of my programs started the same way. One session, 30 minutes, just the two of us. In this strategy session, we cut through the noise of your life and get specific about what's actually driving your overwhelm. You walk away with one concrete thing to do about it, and most women tell me this is the clearest they have felt in months. I've opened up a few of these mental load reset spots exclusively for podcast listeners for $9. If you've been listening and thinking, I wish I could chat with Rebecca without making any sort of coaching commitment, this is the next step. And it's the one that makes everything else start to make sense. There's a link in the show notes. Grab your mental load reset spot, and I'll see you there.